How do you scale a high volume bankruptcy practice? I'm here with Erik Clark from Borowitz and Clark. You're a very process oriented guy, and I really want to unpack that as a debtor attorney, because the beautiful thing about being a debtor attorney, it's very process oriented, but a lot of them, they just don't establish these processes and it slows down the process of growth. So I'd love for you to just kick it off with that and we'll see where this goes.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, bankruptcy, if done correctly, it can be cases sort of follow a very similar path, and each one is different. Each one's got a different set of facts, but for the most part, Chapter 7s operate in a particular way, Chapter 13s operate in a particular way. And so when we started our firm way back in 1998, one of the things that I was tasked with was to try and figure out what that process looks like and how to build our firm so that it maximized what we could do for our clients by using technology, obviously software, and then just the systems, forms, things like that. And over the years, it's changed because technology continues to change as well. But you always want to, you need to stay on top of where the trends are going and what the technology is able to do.
Let's talk about these. So technology, software, forms, whatever it is. Let's unpack it this way. What are the key processes? If you were starting your practice today, you said, I would absolutely do one, two, three in terms of processes and structure.
I think that the first thing I would do is seek out software that is widely used within the bankruptcy space. And there's a number of them, whether it be petition preparation software is clearly a need in any bankruptcy practice. Then you have case management software, and those vary widely, and they have changed in the last, well, I mean, they're constantly changing, but what we started with originally in terms of being able to track clients was just an off the shelf sort of sales oriented type software that allowed you to keep track of their name, address, and then you could put notes in and you keep track.
Like a CRM, basic CRM.
Right. And then we went from that. We had one that was sort of custom made for the bankruptcy space. This is before everything went into the cloud. And so that was developed. We brought in a group of attorneys that I work with around the country. I got a person together who created a piece of software that was specific for bankruptcies. And that was very effective. And that really sort of taught me about putting the case on, for lack of a better phrase, a conveyor belt of various steps and breaking the cases down into various stages, having your software being able to track each stage of that particular case.
Now, is that custom built for you? Do you have a custom built one or what do you?
So that one never made it to the cloud, and so now we recognize that we recognized several years ago that that was a necessity.
Okay.
So then we went back into the legal tech space and brought on a new CRM that's widely used throughout the legal industry,
Okay.
and we've had that customized to the bankruptcy space.
Okay.
And so again, we can now track each case in what stage it's in,
Yeah.
whether it be in the document collection stage or the petition preparation stage or the post filing stage, whatever it may be. And those stages differ from chapter 7 to chapter 13.
Yeah.
So you've got to have the flexibility in there.
And then on top of all this, like, the automation when leads come in and going in there automatically, you do not need staff to do stuff. When you enroll people and do 7 steps to 720 credit score, it's done automatically.
All right.
The lead follow-up is automatic in and out. The automation of the bankruptcy practice is so much easier now, but it's
Yeah,
got
I
to be
mean,
automated. I mean, we still have people who are inputting things manually, and I'm like, we got to get, you got to move on.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a software out there that is perfect for bankruptcy, out of the box. So it's important to find what you like to work with and which one works best for the system that you've got. But each one of these, it's been my experience, needs to be worked with, and so you have to have developers that are able to do it and be able to take the time and invest in your systems because ultimately the return on that investment will be dramatic because you're not paying people to do all of this stuff that you have automated.
Yeah.
And while there are aspects of every case that requires somebody with bankruptcy expertise to analyze and work through. Some of it is just normal, data entry. And so to the extent that you can automate that is very good. And that's again, once the case is in-house. I mean, you mentioned leads coming in, having those automatically populated into your system so that your team that is reaching out to those leads can just open up their screen and boom, the information is right there. There's a little snippet of what that person's case is going to be about, so that when they reach out to the client to talk about it, they already know what the client is looking to talk about. These are all factors that just really help to make your systems and your firm as efficient as possible.
So, backbone of process is obviously the software, the working through, the conveyor belt, as you call it, of the bankruptcy practice. What's a two absolute process you got to work on at some point?
Well, I mean, part of it is your people. I mean, you have to bring in smart people who are dedicated to the cause, as I always tell them, and then train them properly. And so the backbone there is your local bar association and your local group there. Obviously, your existing people, but if you're just starting out, you need to, you may not be the best person to train them on how to do all of the things. But there are local bar associations that regularly have these types of training sessions. The court sometimes puts them on. And then, of course, there's the NACBA, National Association of Consumer Bankruptcy Attorneys, that also produces all kinds of webinars and seminars on how to, and they help train your staff. The software companies will set up training sessions to train, but you need to invest in the training of your people. It is not even though we set up this conveyor belt, it is not a one size fits all. And so your people need to be able to identify the issues and issue spot where a case is going to require some special handling or something that may come up. I mean, I literally just had a client today that retained our firm last week. And one of the questions I ask in every consultation is, do you have any other assets that I haven't asked about?
Mhm.
And in this case, the answer was no.
Yeah.
And now we're talking literally 4 days later. And oh, yeah, I'm a plaintiff in a lawsuit. Oh, yeah, I have some intellectual property that I own. Oh, I didn't mention this company there. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, wow,
How did we milk it?
how did we not, what part of, do you have anything else that I didn't ask? But that happens on the regular. And so your people have to be trained to identify that, flag it, bring it to your attention, and then take that off the conveyor belt and let's talk about it and let's dig a little bit deeper and figure out what we need to do to put it back on.
And so the staff, when it comes to the staff, it could be a paralegal, in-house paralegal. It's based on, to supplement your strengths, right? Because we have some attorneys that are great on the phone and they need bigger support on the back end, and some people who like the back end, they're not good on the front end. But basically, the people train them, invest in the training for with them because it'll pay once again big dividends like the software, right?
Right, absolutely. And so different firms handle this in different ways. I mean, some firms like their people to be a jack of all trades
Mhm.
and to know every aspect from the beginning to the end of the process. My firm, it's a bit more compartmentalized. So we have people that are on the front end, that deal with clients, prospective clients only. And they're very good at that. They've been doing it for years. They're very empathetic. They talk with clients all the time and are really able to help them get through the emotional part of seeking bankruptcy assistance. And then we have people who are dealing with the pre-filing part of that of the process, and then we have the post-filing. So there's different stages that we compartmentalize the bankruptcy process into and trained our people into just that particular compartment.
Well, and you have the volume to be able to handle it, right?
Right.
I mean, let's talk about the first person that talks to a lead or someone calling in, right? I mean, they are clearly they're communicating in a way that the client gets it. I mean, you get them off the street, right? Like in your practice, I'm assuming we haven't really talked about this, but
Yeah, I mean, the person can come to us through a variety of different avenues. We have a large referral clientele
yeah.
that's referred to us because we've been around for 27 years. So, but the fact is that most of the people who we talk to aren't really excited about the notion of filing for bankruptcy. And so they come to it with a lot of preconceived notions of what their life is going to be like. A lot of times they're very intent on convincing us that they're really good quality people. And I let them know that everybody I represent is a quality person, and that bankruptcy really isn't a negative thing. It is about something that happened in your life that you couldn't have planned for, whether that's illness, divorce, loss of the job, whatever. And we're here just to fix it, and then set them back out on the path that they choose to go down. So that, it's important to be respectful of the place where they're at that point in their journey and in their education on bankruptcy, but also to educate them about what the realities of bankruptcy is, because most of the people, what they've heard about bankruptcy is just incorrect. And it could be even from other bankruptcy lawyers. I mean, I'm always amazed. I've talked to 3 bankruptcy lawyers and they told me I can't do this. I'm like, well, no, that actually isn't how it works.
Yeah, right.
And so, you really need to educate them, but also be respectful of where they're at emotionally in this journey. And my team is very good at recognizing what that is, that does that. And again, they've been doing it a long time. I mean, I think one of my people have been here 15 or 17 years.
It says a lot about you. It's a sad commentary when the client is calling and trying to convince you that they're really good people. It just shows you where the the debtor mindset is. Like that they
Yeah.
have to like bring it up. Oh, you know what? Like, you know, but anyway, I digress. Okay, first software, second people. What's the third process that is needed for every debtor attorney?
I think that you need to be involved in the community that you're in and get out there. I mean, so we deal with our processes within the firm, okay? And then we deal with our processes within the court.
Mm.
And so you're constantly having to, mirror and get those two to work together, because they're the whole process of the entire system. So one of the things that I've chosen to do over the last 30 years is get involved in the court and help the court understand what some of the roadblocks are for debtors attorneys, and get in there and help the court improve its efficiencies, and whether that's working with the court personnel, the clerk's office and things of that sort, or with the United States trustee's office, or with the judges in the district. I think as a debtor attorney, I've found it to be very rewarding in terms of systems to help get everybody on the same page, and what's important and what's not. Why are we focusing on things that don't really matter? And sometimes they don't know that those things don't really matter, because they inherited a system from their predecessors, and that's just the way it's always been. And they don't necessarily stop to go, wait a minute, why are we still doing things this way?
And getting feedback from a debtor attorney, I'm saying, hey, here's an idea for easier for you, easier for us, better for the debtor. Let's
Yeah,
consider it.
yeah. And courts are open to change if it makes sense. And so I think in terms of what you need to do to make your life easier, for lack of a better phrase, as a debtor attorney, is you get the systems in place, the technology in place.
Mhm.
You go out and research that. You train your people, and you take the time to do that properly. And then you go out into the community and start working with other debtor attorneys to improve the system, whether that's creating a local bar that then aggregates the influence that you may have, so that you have more influence with the trustees and the judges, whether it's working directly on committees with judges and trustees. But the more all of the players in the process understand what each are going through, the better the system works for all of those players. And so each one of those 3 levels of involvement and investment as an attorney pays tremendous dividends. And it's not easy to invest the time up front, because that's time you're taking away from working on clients and things like that. And you're always on the hamster wheel. But if you do invest that time in there, then it allows you to step off the hamster wheel every once in a while, and enjoy what you're doing.
Well, and just to brag about you a little bit, you started consumer bankruptcy clinic at Loyola, when you were teaching there. You've raised the Chapter 13 fee in the Central District. You helped raise, along with your colleagues from 25 to 7,500 on a base 13, right? And you've helped raise the homestead exemption. I mean, these are meaningful changes that, yes, impact your firm, yes, impact the debtor, but you're making a difference in every debtor attorney's life in the Central District. And I mean, you just heard it. I asked for 3 processes. I find it interesting. You're a large filer. You didn't bring up marketing. You didn't bring up marketing, and I love it. I love the fact that where your heart goes is software, efficiency, people, and give back. So I just thank you.
Marketing is important though.
No, Mark, yeah, but but what's interesting about it, Eric, is it tells a lot about who people are, where their instinct goes, right? And that just says a lot about you. Says a lot about you. Anything else you want to end the call with or end the video with?
No, I think that if anybody's out there looking for some information or some help, reach out to me. I'm always happy to help other attorneys try and figure out ways to influence, especially the community. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
Eric, you are a gift to the bankruptcy community and the debtor bar in general. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Phil. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.